guys. Thanks for tuning into the Bent Entrepreneurship Podcast. I am your host, Kate, and I'm so excited to be hosting you for yet another episode today. In fact, I'm extremely excited today because we have our very first co-host, a very good friend of mine, an amazing and brilliant mind, and yes, a lover of goats and animals. Help me welcome Wangeshi.
Hey y'all. My name is Wangeshi. As Kate has introduced me, I am a finance professional. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a friend. I'm a rich auntie. I'm a lover of life, learning, and finally, I'm an entrepreneur. So thank you so much, Kate, for inviting me to your podcast. I'm looking forward to having a good time, enjoying ourselves, and not overthinking the conversation.
Well, we are both overthinkers. Apologies in advance. But anyway, it's my pleasure to host you because, well, I like how your mind works. And today I'm here to tap into that wisdom. Yes, on behalf of my audience,
Hallelujah.
who are really excited, I'm sure, to also listen to what you have to say.
Thank you.
So, today's episode is going to be about reinventing your business. Well, in entrepreneurship, the most interesting thing about being on this journey is how dynamic it can be. You have days when it's all looking all rosy and exciting, and then you have days when you just want to quit and give up. And sometimes the answer is not giving up because you don't give up here. No, not here. But we also have a chance to sit back, think about what we are doing, go back and think about your why, and then now finally decide whether you want to go on or if you need to change something. And that's why we are here today. Just see what hacks Wangeshi has in store for us when you get to that point where you think you need to make a change for your business to survive. So, Wangeshi, have you reinvented a business before?
I have actually.
Wow, tell us about it.
So, reinvention, just to start the conversation off, reinvention is a process of just rethinking your brand, your business, your organization. So, rethinking is a part of everyday life. Every day, as we live our lives, we see things that are wrong, and we shouldn't wait for 31st of December to make New Year's resolutions. We rethink as we go. So, the first thing I've reinvented and I'm still trying to reinvent is myself. Myself as a brand, myself as a human being, myself as a friend, a farmer, a goat lover. So I've definitely reinvented myself a couple of times, I would say. And I have observed that the one thing that is central to me being able to successfully carry out or implement a change in my life is just being able to love where I am. So Friedrich Nietzsche says that the formula for human success is just loving where you are, so that you'll be able to sit down, come up with new creative ideas on how to move from A to B. Times when I find that I'm trying to work from a place of discontent, I find that I'm stuck.
Yeah.
You're just, everything is confused, everything is a mess. Overthinkers, are you feeling me right now?
Yeah. In the building.
So the first step is just to get a clear headspace. And a clear headspace only comes from a place of contentment and loving where you are and being grateful for where you find yourself. Because imagine, by the way, if you have a business that you're trying to reinvent, even if you feel that it's not doing as well as you would like it to be doing, you have a business. You started, you made the first step.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to you.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, big up yourself and go from there.
Yeah. And I like what Wangeshi has said because you are the biggest part of your brand. If you do not like where you're at, even reinventing your business would be so hard. So hard. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So a business that I have reinvented, that would be our family farm. So we have goats, obviously, as is
The
obvious.
love.
We have chicken, we have pigs, we have it all. In short, it's shamba la wanyama in the flesh. A while back, our main revenue stream was dairy cattle. We observed after a while that we were really not making any money from that venture. We were just sort of just moving money from one place to the other, and all the other livestock were the proceeds from the other livestock. What would be profit was being used to sustain the dairy farm. And well, it was becoming such a frustrating thing because, first of all, guys, milking is a lot of work. It's not fun. There are no holidays, there's no Christmas, there's nothing.
I can't relate. I'm sorry.
So it's if you're working so hard and you're not getting anything, it's painful. So the process of reinventing the business started with just acknowledging that this is not where we want to be. What happened after that is my mom sold all the dairy cattle. So we only were left with bulls. So that allowed us to continue to maintain the revenue that was coming in at a constant, at least for the time, while we were trying to change a few things here and there. So because we had all these cows, it means that we had infrastructure to support that. So now we had extra infrastructure, we had land that was being used for the cows that was no longer in use. So the next thing we did now was to redeploy those resources. So we started with pigs. First of all, in farming, I know people like to farm a lot, but and I think we make this mistake a lot as Kenyans. You don't start farming, you don't buy 10 pigs and start at the same time. That's a big mistake. You do one, you see how it goes, what they like, what they don't like, what feed works, what doesn't work, how to take care of them, why you'll get a vet. So we started with one pig. She's the legendary Beyonce. That
Woo!
that pig gave birth to 18 piglets,
Yo, the real Beyonce.
thereby earning the name Beyonce.
MVP, that one.
Kabisa.
Hey.
So Beyonce was the first pig that we owned. It was a bit challenging in the beginning. We didn't know what kind of structures were proper. Whether sometimes it was too cold in the wooden structures, then it was too hot, then it was. That's why I'm saying it's important for you to try with one so that you can know exactly what is optimal for a pig or for whatever it is that you're trying to do. So we got the pigs. Eventually, we grew the livestock, and then we repurposed the infrastructure that was there for the cows to house the pigs. Then all the land that was being used to grow fodder for the cows was also turned into a vegetable farm. So at the end of the day, the income that we are able to make today, I think, is much, much better than what we had. And we have holidays nowadays, guys.
Holidays.
We wake up at 8 a.m. on Sundays. Please. That is
Wow.
such an asset. So that's the short story of the business I have reinvented.
Wow. Yo. Hey. That is a prime story right there. I've learned so many lessons so far. We're barely 10 minutes in. You see why I was saying her brain, you guys. Anyway, so I have also reinvented a business. I've done a lot of small businesses in my lifetime, but I have a new baby. It's called Cat Bez Styles. Yes, Cat Bez coming from Kate Bezalel. Then Styles because Styles. So I started this business earlier this year and I was expectant at the time. So I tried running it for like the first month, but my body was giving in because, well, pregnancy is the ghetto. But so I decided to hand over the business to someone else to run on my behalf. And you guys, alikula stock. Meaning they didn't really give me my returns from the business. They used it for themselves. And well, character development in this life is everywhere, even in business.
Hallelujah.
Hey, so I lost my money.
In whose hands are we safe?
In whose hands are we safe? But the concept behind the idea was still pretty interesting and very strong because I had done the whole business model canvas story and I had decided to start with an MVP, which was going to be hair and hair accessories because, as you've heard, it's called style. Style is basically a very wide range of items. Yeah. So my starting point was hair and hair accessories. Why? Because I'm passionate. I love hair. I do my own hair. My girl is not lucky because I shall do her hair too. She's barely one, but she's already suffering. Anyway, so when I looked at what I had done wrong from the beginning, I learned a few lessons and reevaluated while I was on maternity leave. And I have revamped my business. There is a cut-based tiles coming to a store near you. Anyway, so now it is a brand. It is a registered business. It is going to cater to a lot of your style needs, right from hair to a wide range of items. I think it also helped me evaluate my strengths and to look at the opportunities that were available for me, considering the whole COVID era and the opportunities it has created. And now I think I'm in a better place. Cut Best Styles is gonna be a big brand, you guys. Yeah, but that's the reinvention I have done myself, and I've also learned a few lessons, and I'm hoping, yeah, we can just have this conversation with Wangeshi and see if we can share a little bit from our experiences. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So as we begin, maybe we can start by thinking through why would there be need to reinvent a business in the first place?
Obviously, as I have alluded to in my story, if your business is not meeting the objectives or your critical success factors, then it means you ought to relook at what you're doing. If you're in the business primarily to make money, if your business is not making any money, then you see you're not doing anything. If your business is not necessarily money, but maybe for example you want to grow your audience, then if you look at that objective, I want to grow my audience numbers, and then you look at the actions that you're putting in, and the audience is not growing, you're still lagging behind, or your content, you're not as consistent in your postings as you would like to be. That means that you ought to. It's definitely a call for you to look at your business, look at your organization, and just to change it up, make it better.
Yeah, reform. Change is good. Change is good, guys.
Yes, please.
And in fact, in this life, the one thing that is a constant is change. So if you're not willing to change, hey, this entrepreneurship space, you won't survive. You won't
Kabisa.
make it. Yeah, and I like where we've started. It's important to know what your goal is, yeah?
Yeah.
But besides your goal, there are other factors, external factors. They're called macro environmental factors that are likely to affect how you run your business, yeah? So in campus, I remember we had this acronym. We said PESTEL factors, meaning P for political, E for economical, S for social, T for technological, E for environmental, and L for legal.
Aya, watu wa first class ndio hao.
Ndio hao. Ina manifest. Hatujasahau kila kitu. So we just picking on a few of these factors, there are some that have really come out strong, especially 2020, 2021. The first one being the coronavirus. That pandemic hit the whole world in a way that no one ever anticipated a disease could. Yeah, we've had pandemics in the past, but the way COVID-19 shifted how the world operates was on a whole other level. It affected all kinds of businesses, from hospitals, which were very hugely hit. They had to really rethink whether they had bare minimum resources to handle bare minimum diseases and research, but now they had to really expand their scope if they wanted to make it through the COVID era, and especially even growing their staff, taking nurses and making sure they learn on the job, things like that. It affected basically all kinds of businesses. Even the mama mboga who used to just wake up and set up shop outside on the roadside, now that was not a possibility. So what was she to do? You see? So from that perspective, it was something that was not within our control. But again, we had to shift and adapt to for our businesses to survive. Now there are grocery businesses running online. Go to Instagram, you order your groceries, send them a list, they send you the price, you pay until it's brought to your house. That's how I operate. Hey, as a mom, hacks, very important. But yeah, so the coronavirus pandemic made it very necessary for a lot of businesses to shift the way they were used to doing business. And without shifting, a lot of businesses also died down, because you'll see,
Yeah.
like in the hotel industry, what they knew was, we have a space, we offer food, people will come and stay and eat the food. But now we are in a situation where, first of all, there are governmental regulations saying that you cannot operate a hotel at such and such a time.
Yeah.
You cannot host, you cannot serve food to sitting customers. The best you can do is do takeaway. And a lot of hotels really suffered a big hit. An example is Jacaranda. It almost went bankrupt if it didn't. That's just to paint a picture of what actually happened to some of these really big institutions that were not ready for change, or had not really taken advantage of what technology had to offer to expand their view. Another thing is something like economic downturn. If you look at the Kenyan economy now, we have a very high inflation rate. I think it has hit an all-time high over a period of 10 years, where we've gone from buying an entire week's worth of groceries with 1,000 shillings, and now 1,000 shillings will buy you what? 2 kg flour for ugali, 2 kg flour for wheat,
5
cooking
liters of
oil,
milk.
5 liters of milk, and sugar, 2 kg. After that, there's nothing more you can get. Those are 5 basket items. And that generally also shows you that as a business, whatever you could afford in operating expenses is likely to have shifted and changed. If, for example, you are running a physical store, your main expense was rent. But now, if you've looked at the different diverse alternatives that you have to take advantage of to reach your target market, you have to spend more on delivery, and it's either you lose customers because you charge a delivery fee, or you pass on the cost to the customer, or you cover the cost. It hurts you either way.
Yeah.
So just looking at the state of the economy and what you can afford, again, can be reason for you to just sit back and look at, how can I save? Where can I save money, or where can I take from and churn into a different space in order to make my business optimal? So I think those environmental factors generally are beyond our control, and more often than not will require you to make a change for you to survive. Yes, Wangeshi, is there another reason why you should consider reinventing?
Yes, of course. There's always a new reason every day. Of course, every business is operating in a government, in a regulated space, a country, a county, something. And that space has its own rules and regulations. So, of course, if those rules and regulations are updated by the government, then it means that your business will be affected. A good example of this is last year. It's this year, yes. This year, yes, the government has implemented a digital services tax. So that means every business that operates online is now eligible for taxes. That was not the case a while back. So in that event, if I had my small online kiosk, it means that suddenly I have tax liability that I did not previously have. The question now becomes, do I pass it on to the customer or do I absorb it? If you pass it on to the customer, it means the price of your goods is increasing. It means that you're probably becoming less competitive. If you decide to retain the cost, it means your cost base is increasing, and possibly your profitability is reducing. So what do you need to do to your business model to ensure that whatever choice you take, be it to pass it on or to absorb the cost, your business still remains competitive, it still remains valuable, the proposition that the customers are getting still remains competitive. So that definitely presents an opportunity for you to reinvent your business. I think a good example of that would be Netflix. A while back, I had a Netflix account. I was actively paying and longer pay. When the price got to 1,000 shillings, I was like, mimi ni Mkikuyu. So I currently leech someone's Netflix account. Thank you, Netflix sponsor.
Confessions, guys.
So now I'm sure that happened to a couple of people. Suddenly, I think I used to pay 900, and I think now the lowest bouquet is probably more than 1,000. I'm not very sure. But one of note is the fact that Netflix is now free. So obviously, I got a free account. which is very much in spirit of with my ancestors. So,
The
so
ancestors have spoken.
my ancestors led me to just open a free account. However, all of my favorite shows were behind a paywall. So, were it not for my good bargaining skills, I would now be needing to pay maybe 1,200 for my regular Netflix subscription. That means Netflix now is now delivering uh, sort of something different, so that the person who would ordinarily not want to be there but go to get there and find, oh, my favorite show is on a paywall, is behind a paywall, then they'll pay. And that mean maybe there'll be a new person who's never even considered Netflix, but suddenly they'll be getting a free Netflix account, and then their friends will be telling them, oh, have you watched which show is this that was very popular?
Squid Game.
Bass.
Mm-hmm.
Squid Games. So have you watched Squid Games and you've not watched, and it's behind a paywall, and you end up paying? And that way, the business is able to maintain its numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting shift by Netflix, by the way. Even me, I pay, and it hurts. It hurts. But oh well, at least I get the value in terms of the movies I can watch anytime. One last reason why you would reinvent your business is if you feel or you come to a point where you realize one of the areas on your business model is not operating in an optimum way or is not giving you the kind of value that you expected. A good example would be if you had made a partnership with a company that ends up taking more from you than it's giving and expecting a high return than you're willing to give along the way. I know at the beginning you'll have signed contracts and everything, but as time goes by, you need to reevaluate these things and you get to a point where you can't agree. So if you get to that point, then it calls for you to sit down and reinvent. Maybe they are not the right partner for you anymore. Maybe you need to consider looking at a different way. Or just going it alone. I mean, it's still an option, right? So at the end of the day, if you feel any of the aspects of your business model is not working, it could even be your value proposition. Maybe what was valuable to the customer yesterday is no longer valuable today. So if you keep insisting on telling the customer something that they've already made clear to you they don't value anymore, you stand to lose as a business, yeah? So the best way to handle that would be to take time to reinvent, rethink your why. If your why is still very clear to you and you're able to create more value on top of the value that you're already giving the customer, to to give them something that makes you slightly more competitive or to put you back on the map in the customer's books, then why not? If you're not able to come up with value in that area, you could look at a different aspect of what matters to the customer. For example, it could be your product is not as valuable, but how you treat the customer when they interact with you leaves a mark, yeah?
Yeah.
So if you have been slacking in that area and you realize, this is what was letting me down, or this is what is likely to help me get back to being competitive enough in this game, and you invest your time and your money into growing that area of your business, then your business model is likely to shift a little bit and require that change. And well, you'll need to reinvent. Now, we've gone through.
Before you go ahead, let me interrupt. I'm trying to think of a business, a Kenyan business or a Kenyan brand that give me a negative experience in terms of the service, but then they changed it up and became better. And suddenly I started enjoying what they were providing. I don't know why, but I can't think of any. Can you think of any?
I actually can.
Which one?
I can think of one.
Mhm.
This company, parastatal kwanza, called NHIF. My gosh, my initial experience with those people, they were just trash. I won't even lie. I registered for my NHIF when I was joining campus because it was like a necessary thing to have, yeah. And the process, it was extremely manual. You go there, the people who are tending to you are extremely rude and very unfeeling. You could come there dying and they don't care. So I spent I had to block out a full day just to get registered for NHIF. Then when I was going to have my second born, I went there to confirm that my status is active and even that the process for adding her on my card immediately after she's born. And you guys, I didn't even spend 20 minutes there. At the gate, right from the gate, you could find the guards they already anticipate the kind of things that you would be going to NHIF for. And most of the time, they have the answer. Like when I told them I'm coming to check the status, they asked me, have you tried using the USSD? They tried to guide me through it. Okay, it didn't work. So when it didn't work, she sent me to a specific office. So from there, I went directly to that office. And because of how efficient they had become, a lot of people were turning at the gate. So there were no queues inside. I went to the front of the line. When I went there, I actually ended up registering for my biometrics. They confirmed NHIF for my mother. They confirmed NHIF for my sister. All that in a span of 20 minutes, considering I had waited for a full day just to register. It was such a change for me, and actually kudos to NHIF.
Yeah, kudos NHIF.
For
Actually,
making that change.
I would say government services generally. Credit where it's due. And there are those departments are trying.
Yeah,
They're
really
trying.
trying. Look at KRA. They're coming for you on social media. They're coming for you.
They've become efficient. They've
Yeah.
reinvented their
They
business.
realized people are doing biashara online and they can't be found. Or people are rich, flaunting their rich escapades all over the country, but wanna file zero returns. So how do they find you? On social media. That's how they'll find you. Yeah, so you see, it's necessary to reinvent how you do your business. At the end of the day, you can see the returns, right?
True.
So how do you actually start the process of reinventing? I can start us off on this. I think the most important thing for you to do when you realize you need a change is to carry out a SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. You look at what you're good at, what available opportunities are around you to make that change, and what your weaknesses are, which more often than not will be what is making you have to reinvent, and then what your threats are. What are now those factors that are threatening the existence of your business? And once you're able to identify what your strengths and opportunities are, ask yourself, have I made use of these to the largest capacity that they can go towards growing my business? If not, that is a good place to start. If you have already maximized on your strengths and your opportunities, look at your weaknesses and your threats. If your weakness is something that you're likely to change a little and it becomes a strength, then take the time to reevaluate how you can make that pivot. If it is a threat, an imminent threat on your business right now, but it ends up being something that you can take advantage of and turn into an opportunity, then why not? For example, now that you're operating in the digital space and you've realized there's a digital tax that you need to pay, as Wangeshi has explained, the threat here is that it could reduce your profitability because now you are tax liable and you weren't previously. So this is a threat to the existence of your business because maybe you are barely surviving. Yeah. But now, if you decide to pass on this tax to your customers to ensure that you survive, and then you look at what other avenues you can make use of other than social media where you're being taxed and a physical store where you have pay VAT, for example. Yeah. What other options do you have? Think about it and evaluate from there. Then identify that and make use of the results of your SWOT analysis to go to the next step, which is
identifying your value drivers. So basically what we are trying to say here is, as a business, you need to know what opportunities you have to satisfy your customers. I have listened to the story of how Audible started. So when Audible started back in before the internet, the .com boom, the audio MP3 experience was completely missing. There was nothing like that in the world. It was a business that was way ahead of its time. So for them to be able to give audiobooks, they needed to have the hardware components as well as the software components just to deliver what we are delivering the audio experience. That's all. The hardware part of the business is incidental. It was not part of what value was it was not part of the what the customer valued. And you'd find that a book maybe would cost, I don't know, $9. But the hardware that you needed to have to play with the book, it would be $200. So as the business grew, definitely hardware, by the way, is difficult business generally in the world. So as they grew, they needed to look at that. which they did. Luckily for them, Steve Jobs observed their vision and carried it. So when Apple was being made, Audible was taken as part of Apple. So the hardware part was now taken care of by someone else. That's a very good example or illustration of identifying what value your business gives to the customer and changing your model such that you're able to become profitable by maximizing on whatever it is that you're giving to the customer.
Yeah, so once
Passing
you
around.
identify the value drivers, the next thing to do is to look at your alternatives. You know what value you want to give, you know what your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. You are fully aware of what you want to do. But maybe there's more than one way to kill that rat. So take a look at what your options are and pick what would give you the best value. In the product management space, we have prioritization matrix. Read about it. But sometimes you might actually need to back it up with numbers to be able to come up with an objective decision as to which alternative is best. And sometimes you just have to apply that knowledge that you pick up on the job to help you reinvent your business.
Yeah, true. So the final part would be to rethink your processes. Obviously, now that you have maybe done your strengths and weaknesses, you've identified what your value drivers are, you have identified your alternatives. Now you have to look at what your processes. How are we doing? How are we delivering? Maybe if it's food, how are we preparing the food and delivering? How is the shop floor in my kiosk organized? Is it optimal? Am I making sure that the products that have the largest margin are the ones that are are most available to customers, or the ones that are profitable are huko nyuma on the top shelf where you can't reach? So those are the kind of things we mean when we talk about rethinking your processes. So you just need to look at, a good example of rethinking your processes, especially in the current environment, would be if in the example of a restaurant pre-COVID you had walk-in customers. That was your business model. Everything was good. However, suddenly now you have this set of COVID restrictions. Your customers cannot sit down in your restaurant. So what do? You need to rethink your process. How do I still deliver the nourishment to my customers in this environment? So which is where you now talk about the distribution channels that you have. How are you able how are customers able to make payment? um, if they're struggling financially, are you able to give credit, a line of credit maybe? So that's what we mean when we talk about rethinking your process. It's just reevaluating how you do things and transforming your processes to ensure that they are efficient and they optimize for profitability.
Yes, thank you so much. You guys, I hope you have seen this beautiful mind. I hope you have seen it. Anyway, so before we close, maybe Wangeshi can tell us or leave us with a snapshot. What would you tell an entrepreneur who is seeking to reinvent their business but has been struggling?
I think I would tell you, first of all, kudos on having a business to reinvent.
Mm-hmm.
Many are those who
Congratulations.
Many are those who have businesses in their heads.
Mm-hmm.
They've been starting them year after year after year, but the fact that you have something is something to be thankful for, and is something to give yourself a pat on the back for. Secondly, I would advise you to just keep going. I had this interesting saying that goes like, entrepreneurship is moving enthusiastically from one setback to the other.
Ish. Rewind.
Let me say it louder for the people in the back.
Backbenchers, I hope you're listening.
So, entrepreneurship is moving enthusiastically from one setback to the other.
Wow.
So, you have to remember, part of your journey is just setbacks. Setbacks, you look at a challenge, you face it, you tackle it, you fix it, and you move forward. You find another challenge, you redesign around it, and then you deploy. Then you move to the next one. The thing I think I would advise entrepreneurs is to just make sure that you're having fun. Make sure you're working with people you like, doing things that you like, because setbacks can be difficult. So it's very important to ensure that you're having fun in the solving of the setback.
Wow, you guys. profound advice from our lady here. And I'd like to really, really thank you for joining me today. It has been such a pleasure spending time with you and just exploring what your mind has in store for us.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for telling us your story, because I know that vulnerability and just opening up about something that you've been through, whether it's in business or whether it's in life, and even harder when it's in both, because it affects both sides of you, yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for just taking the time to give something new to my listeners. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Please, please, please like, comment, subscribe, and follow our Instagram page at bent_entrepreneurship_podcast. And you can reach out to either of us on our Instagram handles at
Wangeshi Duya. I will be posting a picture of my goat
Hey.
for all of you who are curious. Her name is
Yes.
Sally.
Oh,
She
wow.
loves
Sally is loved.
being a public figure. She wants to be an influencer when she grows up. Support Sally.
Support Sally on at Wangeshi Duya and I at Kate_Bezadel. Thank you so much and have a fabulous week ahead. Bye, guys.
Bye.